Welcome back to Off the Monster. It's a two-man show tonight, or today, or this morning, or whenever the heck you are watching this. I'm Derek. I'm here with Mr. Taylor. We're excited to get into this. The Red Sox split a two-game series against the Cincinnati Reds. Took game one 5-3, lost game two 5-1. It's their second split with the Reds this year. In case you don't remember, they split with the Reds way back when at the end of May, beginning of June. So the Red Sox 2-2 on the season against the Reds. But there were some bright spots. Brayan, Bello, Seabold started both games. Both of them showed some promise. Gonna see a lot of young guys getting some game action down the stretch. So what are your thoughts, Mr. Taylor?
My thoughts have not changed on this team all season long, brother. They show signs of brilliance and then signs of resilience, and then they're sucking the big toe the next day. I mean, the first game against the Reds, what was the final on that one? Was it 2-1?
5-3, 5-3, and then 5-1.
That's right, 5-3 and then 5-1. So the first game they looked really well. They shouldn't have given up the two additional runs that they gave up late in the game on that the first game against the Reds. Yeah. The second game, like we were talking just before we came online, Seabold looked good for four, I think in a third, 4 2/3 max, and then I think he gave up 4 runs, something like that. It just proof point that this team is battered, this team is down, this team is struggling to get to the end of the year. It's going to be interesting to see how these last 14 games go. As you and I were talking, we think they should just tank to get a better draft pick at this point because it doesn't make any difference. It's the teams that we should be beating, we're not beating consistently, and the teams that we should be beating are beating us consistently. And I think that's the most frustrating part about it is the lack of consistency.
Yeah, but then we can also play some good teams well. Like we play the Astros well, for example. So it's just a season of like being consistently inconsistent. Injuries definitely have not helped with that. Trevor Story's on the injured list again. Not good. Obviously we were recording this the day of the first game of the Yankees series. So Story's back on the injured list. You'll get this on Friday, so you'll know what happened in that game. We may or may not, but we're not going to cover that series yet. We'll wait for Sunday to cover that. So you'll get that episode on Monday, cover the Yankees series. But it's one of those things where I feel like seeing Bello and then seeing Seabold, you're seeing the youth of the team. Seeing what they could do. I don't know if Seabold's going to be a starter at the big league level because he struggles to get through the lineup. Even that second time. Mm-hmm. But maybe like a swing man, maybe like a couple innings out of the bullpen, if you need it, especially if a starter gets hit early or makes the occasional spot start. That might not be a bad spot. Maybe Seabold ends up in some kind of spot, or maybe it's a Cutter Crawford next year who ends up in that kind of spot. There's different ways that they can go about it. But it's interesting, and I do want to kind of bring up this young group. We're not going to talk too much on this Cincinnati series because, let's be honest, it's kind of boring, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to kind of talk about the Red Sox, though, like what the rest of this year has to do with next year. And it's interesting because, you're seeing all these young guys pitch. Cutter Crawford to get shut down for the year. I'm guessing just because an innings limit, most likely, because he was expected to be in the bullpen this year, not starting every fifth day. They have Winkowski, they have Seabold, they have Bello. I think Winkowski's on the injured list right now or something like that. Or maybe they sent him back down to AAA. I don't remember. But you're seeing some of these younger guys pitch. They're not all going to be in the rotation next year. But you also got to figure out how they could potentially fit into the puzzle. Bello's probably in the rotation next year. You have Sale. Sale, Bello, Pivetta, then Paxton, assuming he opts into his player option because the Red Sox are probably declining that team option. So those are 4 guys that we know are going to be there. I don't think Whitlock. It seems like they're leaning towards Whitlock in the rotation next year. So that's 5 already. So unless they want to do a 6-man rotation to start the year, there's no room for Winkowski, a Seabold, and that's not even including if they go out and get a free agent pitcher as well.
I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of uncertainty about our starting 5. There's a lot of uncertainty about our bullpen. I'd like to see Eovaldi come back on maybe a 1 or 2 year deal. Joking with someone yesterday about now that Plawecki's with Texas, Evaldi's going to go
Evaldi's
home.
gonna go there.
He's going to go to the Rangers.
Would be a good fit.
It would be a good fit for Evaldi. He's from the area. He does well pitching. With plot. Yeah, exactly. They do. They spent $500 million on 2 players, and they sucked this year. So they need some pitching for sure. But I think bringing Whitlock back out of the bullpen is a mistake on the Red Sox part. I think he is a lethal weapon, 7, 8, 9 potentially. I don't think is a 9 guy. I think he's an 8 guy. So it's interesting to see what the Red Sox will do this offseason to maybe shore up, the 9 hole for Edwin the Red Sox, an actual true closer.
Edwin Diaz,
I want that dude.
Pray.
I want that song that he comes out to play at Fenway Park.
Narcos.
I think it would be awesome. Absolutely, but I just don't think that the Chaim Bloom's going to go after him. I really don't.
Well, I don't even think it's about Chaim Bloom going after him. It's about Steve Cohen just going to throw money at him.
Oh, he's going to throw the bag at him, dude. He's going to throw the – Cohen doesn't care about the luxury tax. Cohen wants a World Series in New York, and he's going to get it eventually. I don't think he's going to get it this year. I think the Astros are way too strong in the AL. Yankees are going to be hard to beat.
That Dodgers team, too.
Starting – oh, Dodgers are lights out, man. They're video game good. They are literally video game good. The starting 5 for us going in next year, man. There's no real solidity that we have right now, other than a few. I don't think Paxton will be back. Bello's going to be good. Sale, as long as he stays off of bicycles, I think he'll be fine. Maybe stop that Uber Eats stuff.
Stays away from TVs.
Yeah, exactly. As long as he just goes from the locker room to the mound and we put him in bubble wrap in that tunnel, I think we'll be good with him. But Chaim Bloom's going to have some money, as you and I have talked about offline quite a few times. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do, and I'm looking forward to 2023 because 2022 has driven me to alcoholism this year.
I think Paxton stays just because he has that team option. I'm not that team option, the player option. The team option gets declined because where else is he going to get 1 year $6 million from?
Is that what his player options is for 2023?
Yeah.
What was he 10 mil this year and didn't pitch an inning for us?
I don't know exactly. I think something I think it was 10 mil with incentives.
Is that what it was?
I think it was up to 10 million with incentives.
It wasn't for me. It was a bad signing because it was under the auspices that he would recover in the timeline needed for Tommy John, and unfortunately he didn't. He had a setback, and they shut him down.
I think. Well, also too, they also knew that it was more of a 2023 signing than a 2022 signing. Which
you think so?
Yeah, well, because they were banking on him to come back in August, anyways. And at that point, the Red Sox were kind of falling out of it. So at that point, even if he was kind of close, doesn't make much sense. What is he going to do? Give you 1 or 2 starts in the end of September?
Yeah. That's kind of what we were hoping for sale. We were only going to get maybe 4 or 5 starts out of him. At best 6. No, we got what?
1.5, 1.1 starts.
Yeah, did we even get a full start out of him? Did he
Tampa.
go 5? Okay.
I don't know if he went 5, but I know he pitched in Tampa.
Yeah, it was what was it? The second game where he took the line drive off of his pinky, and it was in the first inning.
Yankee Stadium. Yeah, in Yankee Stadium. That signifies this Red Sox team. They can't show it out the gates, and then they kind of come back and as Sale's getting ready, and that's the Red Sox trending up, and then they get their guy and they're ready to go, and then as soon as they're ready to go, broken finger.
Exactly.
That's the tail of the season.
That's the 2022 Red Sox to a T, man. It's just when they give you hope, they beat you down. It's like I described being a Red Sox fan once as like living with an abusive alcoholic. You don't know what you're going to get day to day. And that's not to, knock people that are from that type of abusive background. But from what I've been told is that one day the alcoholic is he or she is the love of your life. They're going to take care of you. They promise you that it'll never happen again. That's like when the Red Sox are winning. And then all of a sudden they drink a little too much. They throw a few things around the house, scare the hell out of you, and you hate them. So it's that love-hate relationship again this year that has just been a culmination of being a member of the Red Sox Nation. You never know what you're going to get, and it's super frustrating.
Oh, guess what? I have some breaking news.
Uh-oh. What do you got?
For the first time in a long time, The Red Sox projected draft slot has changed. They're now projected to be in the 13th slot instead of the 14th slot.
Hey, man, let's keep it going. Let's get those numbers up, man. Let's tank.
There is going to be a draft lottery this year. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if that's a lottery spot or not, but hey, give me draft lottery. Heck yeah, let's go. Let's get the Red Sox a higher pick.
At least we're in the 13th slot for that, because we're not in the 13th slot overall.
Oh my god.
For the 30 teams right now. It's just, I don't even know, it's insane this year.
Well, the 13th slot doesn't even necessarily get you into the playoffs. Because yes, no, 7 and 7 is 14, but like all the American League wildcard teams, like I don't know where they are compared to the NL teams, but hypothetically, it doesn't even guarantee you a playoff spot.
Hey, but at least it's some good news tonight, man. We'll have to see how it works out with the Yankees, but this split with the Cincinnati Reds only shows us how crappy this team really is, man. It really truly is.
Yeah, I felt bad for Bello because he gave up his home run in Cincinnati, and in my head before the game, I'm thinking, if there's anywhere he's gonna give up his first home run, it's gonna be in Cincinnati. That is that's the best, that's the best hitters ballpark in the league, and it's the best home run ballpark in the league for hitters.
But at least it wasn't a cheap shot. It was a legit home run that got hit off of him.
Yeah, but still, it's the fact that it's Cincinnati. It's like,
I get it.
It just leaves a bad taste. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
What are you talking about? This entire year has left a bad taste in our mouth, dude.
No, if anything, Bello's a bright spot this year. He has been a bright spot. But it's like, you're kidding me. In Cincinnati, if there was any place you had to predict this, Cincinnati sounds about right. Based on how the season's gone for the Red Sox. It's
exactly, dude. But his last 2 starts, he's looked really, really good. He's turned a corner.
His last 5 starts.
It's the last 2 specifically for me have been a turning point for him. I mean, he legitimately looks like a good 3 right now. He's not a 1 or 2. I think he's a good season away from being a true ace. But he's got electric stuff. I now see the comparison to Pedro Martinez, especially his arm slot, his delivery. I mean, he throws 96, 97. He's got a good changeup, if I remember correctly. I think that's his good secondary pitch, and maybe his best.
His changeup is elite. It's actually elite. I wrote about it for Bleacher Brawls. I wrote about it. His changeup is nasty. It's up there. It's based on the expected stats, expected batting average, and all that stuff. The hard hit rate on it is stupidly low. You look at Devin Williams, Shane McClanahan, Sandy Alcantara, all the guys that have the best changeups in baseball. Bello's is right up there. He's literally right there with those guys. And Alcantara, potential Cy Young winner this year. McClanahan, probably top 3 in Cy Young voting. And Devin Williams, the nastiest changeup in the history of changeups.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a bright spot next year in the pitching rotation with Bello.
Yeah.
I think if Pivetta can find his way back, if you've got Sale, Pivetta, Bello, it's not a bad 3 to start on. I really want them to keep Garrett, Whitlock out of the starting 5. I need him in the pen. I need him to come out for 7, 8, 9.
I want Carlos Rodon, just because they don't have a true 1, and Rodon's the closest thing besides Jacob deGrom, and they're not getting Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, but we haven't seen a healthy Sale since 2018, basically.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He comes back healthy.
Yeah, but imagine you have a healthy Sale and Rodon.
Yeah, legit. I would love that 100%.
And I think though, you can't bank on Sale or Paxton being healthy, right? And if they're both not healthy, how many lefties are in that rotation?
Yeah, that's a true story.
A big fat donut. 0.
Yeah, I think that's a 0, sir. I think that's a 0. Yeah, but I just think that Bloom is going to have. I mentioned this earlier on a live feed on YouTube. I follow a guy on Twitter. He goes by Red Sox Radio, and he was doing a Twitter live feed earlier, and I was mentioning that this offseason is going to be Bloom's make it or break it. 2023 will be his make it year or his break it year. I think if he has a really good winter, the Sox do really well in 2023, Bloom will stay. But if he doesn't have a good offseason, the Red Sox are looking shaky in April and May. I think you're going to see a big shakeup very quickly next year. Even Cora potentially is on the line.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a lack of patience. Here's my thing with Bloom. It's like you have to give him adequate time, and it goes back to like Theo Epstein with the Cubs, and he was like, and he lit. But this thing, Theo actually said it, whereas Chaim hasn't said it. Theo's like, yeah, we might not be good for a couple years, but this is a 5-year plan.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whereas,
and he did.
And that's exactly, and I feel like the 2021 season has given us kind of false hope. Not in the fact that Chaim can be a good like leader of the front office. I think he can. But what I'm saying is it gave us false hope in that, oh, we're going to be good a heck of a lot quicker than we thought. And this year has been like, you might want to slow the boat on that. You might want to slow your roll on that.
Pump your brakes a little bit there, Mr. Bloom.
Yeah, so it's like, and it's so they're in that spot where it's like, okay, I think they got to give them at least like, they probably won't. If they bad next year, I think there's a good chance he might be gone. But I also feel like if the farm system's still developing and everything else besides the major league team still on the right path, you got to give him an extra year, right? And I think because like you look at guys like Marcelo Meyer and Nick York and some of the top prospects that are coming through the system that are in the lower minors that Chaim Bloom drafted or signed an international free agency or whatever, like those guys have just entered the system. Like you got to give them time, and to kick Chaim Bloom out before those guys even get close to the big leagues is like, to me, that's like, okay, like, come on, patience. And I think that's like, and I think it's a Boston thing though, where it's like, and it's, or not even a Boston, it's just a big market thing where it's like, but you got to win as soon as possible. But it's like, not necessarily. Like, there's nothing wrong with having 2 bad years if we can be good for the next 10 years. I'd rather have, I'd rather be bad in 2023 and then go on a stretch of being a good team for like 10 straight years, just instead of being good in 2023 and 2024, then kind of dropping back a little bit, then go up a little bit and then drop back a little bit. Like, we don't want the yo-yo of winning a World Series and then last place, and then you're just an team for a few years, and you win a World Series, and then you're back to last place. Like, that's why you bring in a guy like Chaim Bloom.
Well, you look at a team like the Dodgers. They've won the last 7 or 8 NL West divisions.
They've won 9 of the last 10. The only one they didn't win was last year, and they still had 106 wins.
Yeah, because the San Francisco Giants had a fluke year. So what are they doing? They're spending lots of money. They got some of the best players on the planet playing for them. So, but it's also a large market team with big pockets. Boston is a large market team, and I don't want to see us now. Granted, our payroll is still $250 million, $270 million or something.
No, it's like 235, I think, before the low. But we only have like a $1 million in luxury tax, so
yeah, which is good considering where we could have been. But I want to see them. I saw an article earlier today with Brayan O'Halloran, and BOH was saying that they don't necessarily see the luxury tax threshold is a stopping mechanism from them going out and building a team for 2023.
Oh yeah, no chance.
Beyond.
I
want that.
Yeah, they can't see it as a stop.
If I'm going to take my family of 6 to see the Red Sox again next year and spend another $1,000 per game like I did this year, I want to see some winners, dude. I want a W. I want to hear Dirty Water. I want my kids to sing Sweet Caroline. It was sad. 4 of the 5 games that we were there, they lost. Yeah. So we got to hear the cheap organ music at the end instead of Dirty Water, which is what I wanted. So I want them to experience that. The fans deserve it.
Yeah.
Because it's Boston, and we shouldn't be cheap. We should go out there and get the free agents that we need, solidify the team for next year and beyond. And I'm hoping Bloom's that guy. I
think it just takes time. I think it just takes time because you compare it to the Dodgers, and it's like Andrew Friedman didn't spend free agent money until like Mookie Betts. And technically Freddie Freeman, because Mookie Betts was with the Dodgers when he signed Mookie, but he didn't go out and get massive signings from elsewhere. He didn't go out and sign a star that was playing for a different team. He let the money that he didn't need for players didn't leave, like a Matt Kemp, for example, he traded that away or let it come off the books. And then he made sure to re-sign all of his guys first that were already on the team. And then once he got all those guys locked up, Then he went and spent the money on a guy like a Mookie Betts and a Freddie Freeman. But you look at that Dodgers team right now and look at all those guys that have big contracts there that the Dodgers have signed. The only ones that have come from elsewhere is Mookie, if you want to consider him, but even though he's with the Dodgers technically when he signed that, even though he hadn't played a game for them yet, and then Freddie Freeman. Like, that's it. Like, none of their guys, like, especially like big contract wise, have come from elsewhere except for those two guys, and those two guys are recent. Friedman was there from I think the end of 2014 on. Like, that's a lot of time to not sign any big time free agents when you would expect the Dodgers to. But it also shows that, but also I think the Dodgers were in a better spot than the Red Sox at that time. Because you could, because like they had pieces, like they had a Clayton Kershaw who they did have to extend, but like extend Clayton Kershaw, you're the Dodgers, you have money to do that. But they didn't have like a bare bones team that had David Price still stuck on it. Obviously had Mookie, but I feel like that was more an ownership saying, hey, we got to trade him more than Chaim Bloom stepping in the door and going, yeah, we're trading him. So, and like, yeah, that David Price contract, and you still had that Eovaldi contract wasn't looking good when Chaim stepped in the door. Because in 2019, if anyone remembers, Eovaldi had to get moved to the bullpen. He was so bad in 2019. So it just wasn't. They weren't in a good spot. They had like no young talent. Like Michael Chavis was their young talent. It was Michael Chavis.
You leave the ice horse alone, dude.
Oh no, I love Chavis, but it's like at the end of the day, like when Michael Chavis is like your only young talent, obviously like you have Devers, but Devers was established himself in 2019. I know Chavis kind of did, but not really. He was just coming on in 2019, and then he didn't add on to it past 2019. But it's like you look at that and you're like, your young talent was like nothing. Like Bobby Dahlbeck's your top prospect. And I like Bobby Dahlbeck, but he cannot be your top prospect when your team is in last place. Like, just can't.
Well, I will say this about Bloom, man. He has done some trades that I didn't necessarily agree with, but he's gotten some good talent, for the minor league systems, and he has rebuilt it to where I think is respectable, where it wasn't, prior to him coming on board. Diamond Dave depleted the shit out of it, but he got us a 2018 World Series. So, it is what it is, and we move forward. Going into this next season, I think it's, like I said, going to be his make or break. So he's got some tough decisions to make. He's got Xander opting out. Do you throw the bag at Xander or do you throw the bag at Devers? I don't think he's going to sign both. I really think Xander is gone. So your T-shirt that you're wearing will be a collector's item next year, sir. Though it's a cool one because it's the City Connect.
They'll go get Trey Turner.
And I'm not necessarily mad at that. I like this kid Chang. I think he's good. I think Arroyo needs a chance to prove himself, full time if he can stay healthy.
I think the problem is where do you play them? Because I think Story's stuck at second. I don't think you can put Story back at short. I don't think you can.
Arroyo can play shortstop. I've seen him play shortstop. He's not the best, but he can play.
I don't think you can be comfortable with that though every day, especially knowing Devers can struggle at times defensively.
Then you platoon him with this kid Chang that we just claimed off of waivers from the Rays. Kid has a decent swing. He looks like he's decent in the infield.
I just think you can do better than that though. Like I think you can do better than that.
No, I agree 100%.
Like I don't think you need to settle for those guys. I think that's kind of like I think Yu Chang and Christian Arroyo are great utility guys, especially Arroyo. Arroyo could play like every day in a utility role. Like he doesn't have to stick. He could play like 3 of every 4 games or 4 of every 5 games, something like that in a like utility role. Play 1 game at second, 1 at third, 1 at short, 1 at first, 1 in right if they want, or 1 at DH because the DH spot will be freed up next year. So you can also rotate guys through the DH spot next year as well. So which I personally think they're not going to go for a legit like DH. I don't see it happening. There's no way.
Well, the way JD's been playing, I just don't think they're going to give him the qualifying offer at all. I think he's going to go somewhere in the National League. He's going to get a decent contract over there, probably a 2-3 year deal, take him to his age 38 season.
I think it's going to be a Nelson Cruz deal, 1 year deal.
You think You think it's going to be a 1 year?
1 year deal, and it might have like the deal that Nelson Cruz got with the Nats this year, where there's like a mutual or team option on the second year of it.
Yeah,
but I don't see anything like guaranteed more than 1 year.
You may be 100% right, but I think JD needs to change the scenery and kind of refine himself.
He needs to go
And
to
he's a smart enough.
Cincinnati.
He's just right. That's probably where he's going to wind up. Wouldn't it be hilarious if he winds back up in Houston for some reason? He'll finish his career where it started.
They don't have room for him.
No,
they don't have the DH spot isn't open for him. He would be their pinch hitter whenever they want to
right,
pinch hit for
go.
Martin Maldonado.
Absolutely,
because Maldonado's playing over Christian Vasquez right now,
which is insane. They trade for Vasquez and they're not even playing him day to day. It's just
they
insane.
Literally said that when they traded for him. They're like, "Yeah, Martin Maldonado's still a catcher, but we like a backup with good defense that can handle the bat."
Yeah, but Maldonado was hitting sub 200, if I'm not mistaken. Vasquez was really starting to turn it on.
I think he hit like his 14th home run the other night. Put some respect. Oh no, I'm joking.
Yeah, I don't think so, dude.
So the only thing he's good for is throwing runners out.
Hey, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. But I still miss my Vasquez, dude. Even though Reese is starting to warm up to Reese a little bit. You leave old quick hands alone, man.
Just keep him out of the Dollar Tree parking lot. Too.
Hey, Connor's got some speed, dude. It's nice to see someone chug down the line that's got a little bit of speed in the catcher slot. Yeah. But next year is going to be interesting. We may not have a left fielder. Pham has got a mutual option for. We have Verdugo.
We have Verdugo. We don't have a right fielder. We have Verdugo in left.
Verdugo in left. Kike in center. Nobody in right now. We may not have a shortstop. First base, we're pretty locked up with Casas. Bobby D is going to be a good backup to Casas, I think.
You have Hosmer too.
I got Haas coming back. I love the Haas.
If they don't trade him.
Well, it's not going to cost us anything. It really won't. Still going to cost San Diego.
You could actually get something for Hosmer now that he's dirt cheap. If there's any team that just wants like a solid first baseman who can play defense at first base, that's Eric Hosmer. And now he's going to be dirt cheap money-wise, so there's no like contract holding back his trade value. Like the Red Sox could get something half decent for him. Something
that maybe a bullpen piece, because I think that you've got. I think Casas is I think he's a plus defender from what I've seen so far at first. I really think he's a future Gold Glover based upon what I've seen. You DH him, maybe rotate him with Bobby Dahlbeck at first if we trade Hosmer for some type of nice bullpen piece, maybe a utility player, an outfield or something like that. But this Chaim Bloom, I don't want his job, dude. He's got a lot to answer to the Red Sox Nation going into 2023 and beyond.
And what's annoying is we won't know any answers until it happens, and we still probably won't know any answers even when stuff does happen. It'll be like
I know, man. It's so frustrating.
It'll be like we signed like this guy. Well, it's like, we signed Jackie Bradley Jr. to a minor league deal, and everyone's just gonna be like, oh, fuck off.
Exactly, dude. He almost speaks in euphemisms. It pisses me off. He never says what he wants to. He's always saying something around it.
But also too, it is good in a sense because like you can't get a read on him, which means no one can get a read on him, which is good from a okay. Well, the other teams have no clue what we're doing, but I know people have said like how the Red Sox know what they're doing. If other some people like Chaim Bloom talks like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's like he knows what he's doing.
He doesn't tell us, and it frustrates us because we want to know.
We want to know, and I think that's any fan of any team. Like they want to know. Okay, what's the plan? Especially like an off season or something. It's like, who we planning on signing? Like, what's the plan? Are we trading someone? Are we not trading someone? Like, who's going where?
Dude, November, December are going to be so frustrating for the Red Sox Nation. I'm going to start I'm going to start drinking more. I swear to God, we're going to do a podcast, and you're going to have to wake me up every 5 minutes with a text message because I passed out on the side of the camera. It's so 2023 we know is going to be interesting. 2022 winter meetings are going to be interesting for us. So what do you have stats and shats wise, man? I don't think we got to do it last time.
No, I think we're gonna save it till we get more than just us, because I need to see some others' reactions on this one. I had one plan, but I want to save it for when there's more than just two people.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we'll save it. Even though I will throw a tiny one out there. That Trevor Story is on the injured list again, and. So that means now the Red Sox have two utility players playing. They have Abraham Almonte on their team. And no one knows who that... actually, here's a good one. So, Bello has now pitched 11 games in the big leagues. 4 of those are caught by Christian Vasquez. I don't have it written down, but I know around what the ERA was. Take a guess at what his ERA was when he pitched to Christian Vasquez in 4 starts.
4.28 ERA.
8 something.
Oh my God! Holy shit!
And he's sub-3 with Wong and Reese McGuire.
And them quick hands behind the plate really really helping out.
I do think part of it is just like the development of Bello instead of just like, oh, Vasquez isn't a good catcher. I think part of it's just more like the development of Bello. But that is kind of an interesting thing to see that. And obviously Wong and him played together. Wong caught Bello in AAA, so there's that as well.
So there's some comfort there. There's some comfort. He's used to it, but he's also starting to figure it out a little bit.
Yep.
And he's fortunately figured it out at the right time and going to be good going into 2023. It's going to be exciting, dude.
And Reese McGuire is the best pinch hitter on the planet Earth.
Oh, absolutely. We got a little bit of information about that tonight, but we'll share that on the next podcast.
All right. Well, I think it's a good place to wrap this thing up, though. Thanks for tuning in. Yep. Thanks for tuning in to Off the Monster. We'll see you next time, hopefully, if you liked us enough. We'll see you next time. Make sure to check out all our previous episodes. We're going to have a bunch of podcasts coming out for you. Hopefully, we'll stick to our 2-a-week schedule. Hopefully, we're trying to keep constant on that, so we're excited. Make sure to follow the Twitter. That'll be in the description of the episode, wherever you're listening or watching. Video on Spotify and YouTube, audio everywhere except for Apple Podcasts. We're still working on that one. We'll try and figure it out. But we'll wrap it up, though. For Mr. Taylor, I'm Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Off the Monster, and we'll see you next time.